Corning's Gorilla Glass 5. Introducing Corning's Gorilla Glass 5. And talking about being a very practical device, we are also introducing a Type-C port for the first time on the Note series. And of course, jack is back. We never got rid of it. Now there's one more feature which the Mi fans love and none of the other brands have ever provided. Absolutely, only the Mi fans know this. So with the IR blaster, and almost all our Redmi Note devices have had this, you can turn your Redmi Note 7 Pro into a universal remote. You can control thousands of devices, TVs, set-top boxes, game consoles, fans, pretty much everything that uses IR technology. It's something that our fans have absolutely loved, and we are not giving up on that. So, to sum it up, from a design perspective, I'm sure you guys are loving what you saw. The Aura design, an all-new philosophy. You've got an immersive 6.3-inch dot-notch display with an all-new aspect ratio of 19.5:9. You have a LTPS in-cell screen. Again, improved thermals, improved battery efficiency. You're pushing it all the way to the edges, smaller bezels. You've got a Corning Gorilla Glass 5, both at the front and the back. It's a 2.5D glass that merges in with the frame. And of course, that beautiful 6-layer gradient finish. And it's still a Redmi Note. It is as practical as ever before. It's got the headphone jack. It's still got the IR remote control. And the all-new Type-C. Now moving to the next section. And this is something that the Redmi Note series has always been known for. We've broken that entire segment time and again in terms of how the Redmi Note has performed. And of course, talking about that, let's get into the performance part. And this, of course, is, we know, incredibly important to all our Mi fans. Right? No? Okay, so before I get into the performance part of it, I'll recap. So we talked about this last time as well. When we are selecting a processor, we look at three key things. Can it run all the apps and games smoothly? Does it have great thermals? And of course, it's a Note, it has to give great battery life. So for kind of ticking all these boxes, I would like to introduce to you, on the Redmi Note 7 Pro, we are going to use the Qualcomm Snapdragon 625. Okay. So we really wanted to. Obviously, 625 has been Manu's favorite processor for 2 years. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks back, we had a little incident. In Andhra Pradesh, one truck, which was surprisingly carrying all our 625 chips, got stolen. So because we lost all our 625s, with the Redmi Note 7, we are bringing in an all-new processor. This processor is absolutely amazing. On Antutu, this clocks in at a whopping 1.8 lakhs. Trust me, nobody has seen a performance like this in this segment before. In fact, when we compared the Redmi Note 7 Pro with the previous generation Redmi Note 6 Pro, we have 155% the performance of the predecessor. It's a massive jump. Not just from a benchmark score perspective. We tested it time and again internally. Almost everything that you run runs a lot faster. You see faster web browsing, game launches, social media launches, almost everything is much, much faster on the Note 7 Pro. So these were benchmarks and these were comparisons. So we decided to go a step further. And we said, let's compare it with some really powerful devices out there. And where does it stand? So we decided to compare it with the Qualcomm 710. And versus the 710, the Redmi Note 7 Pro is almost 17% faster. There's another 710, which is not actually the real one. That obviously is much slower, but we'll get to that a little later. So what we did was, this was Antutu. How about some other tests, like single core tests and multi-core tests? So we also went to Geekbench and looked at that. So both single core, multi-core, of course you've seen Antutu, it turned out to be the fastest device that was there. And of course we've seen the Oppo R17 Pro that does run Snapdragon 710 retails for about 46,000 rupees. And the Note 7 Pro beats it by a healthy margin. Why is that? Because the Redmi Note 7 Pro's processor uses the latest Cryo 460 architecture. Now this uses the same ARM A76 cores as the Qualcomm Snapdragon 855. It is a truly powerful chip. And this chip that we're using on the Redmi Note 7 Pro is none other than an absolute phenomenal chip running on the Cryo 460 architecture. It's an 11 nanometer FinFET process. So it's not just more powerful, but it's also a lot more efficient. And yes, an octa-core chip. We're going to dive a little deeper. Okay. Now, as you saw, the Qualcomm Snapdragon 675 is an 11 nanometer, based on the 11 nanometer FinFET technology. It uses the latest Cryo 460 architecture, and it is an 8-core processor. With the 11 nanometer chipset or the process technology, you get better thermal, you get better power consumption, and because of all of this, you're able to push the entire performance to a whole new level on the 675. Not just that, when we dive a little deeper to find out why it's so powerful, let's look at how the CPU works. And in the Cryo 460 CPU, you've got 2 gold cores running ARM's A76. Now, these are super performance cores. And then, along with that, you've got 6 silver cores which are run on ARM's A55 architecture. Now, both of these are powerful, but the gold cores do the major heavy lifting. So all your games, your heavy 3D applications are in the gold cores, while the silver ones are for your day-to-day performance. So whether it's social media apps, whether you're listening to music, whether you're browsing, these silver cores step in there. But not just that. Obviously, we are also interested in gaming. And there, we've got an all-new Adreno 612 GPU. And this GPU, when combined with the gold cores of the Cryo 460 CPU, take gaming all the way to the next level. Lesser frame drops, but also an overall smoother gameplay. It's absolutely amazing, and we've tested this amongst all the latest games. A few of us got chicken dinners as well. The next part of this amazing chip is the Spectra ISP. Now, this obviously is incredibly important because this has been engineered to support a 48 megapixel camera, right? And of course, you remember our tagline. Not just the 48 MP camera, but it also has better depth sensing, and a hint for a later slide, it also supports 4K video capture. And the last part that I want to talk about here is it comes with an all-new DSP, the Hexagon 685, which has much better AI processing, and hence that also adds further to your camera experience. Overall, this makes the Snapdragon 675 SoC, which is, as you saw, really powerful. And I'll just move to the next one. And we've combined this with up to 6 GB of LPDDR4X. Now we know LPDDR4X is the fastest RAM available for mobile phones right now, and you get that on the Note 7 Pro. Not just that, but for the first time ever on a Redmi Note series, we are also introducing a 128 GB storage variant. Now, you combine this, you've got a super powerful Cryo 460 CPU, an all-new Adreno 612 GPU, and up to 6 GB of DDR4X RAM. You've got an amazing gaming machine right in your hands. But that's the hardware part. We've also made optimizations when it comes to software. In fact, we are running MIUI 10 based on Android Pie, and from a performance point alone, there are more than 20 different optimizations that have been done. But just to highlight a few, from a lock-free critical path and code-dependent prioritization, it's able to run everything a lot more smoothly and push this entire system to a whole new level. Now, it is a Note, and you've got so much power, so it has to have a noteworthy battery. And the Note 7 Pro comes with a 4000 mAh battery that easily lasts you 2 days on a single charge. And when you deep dive, it's almost 45 hours of 4G calling time if you were to call someone that long. Or what's really important, and what I really care about as well, about 8.5 hours of gaming. Now this is absolutely incredible. Now this is a big battery and it's a powerful phone, and we are saying that it's great for gaming. What you do need is when the battery goes down, you need to charge it up quickly, right? For that, again, a first for the Redmi Note series, you got Quick Charge 4. So, to sum it up, you've got the incredibly powerful Snapdragon 675 built on the Cryo 460 CPU. It has an Adreno 612 GPU, perfect for those heavy games. You've got MIUI 10 with Android Pie and bringing you all those optimizations and overall a smoother experience. Up to 6 GB of DDR4X RAM and 128 GB of storage. And of course, the Spectra 250L ISP. It's an all-new ISP required for a massive camera. And with that, let's get into the most exciting part, the camera. Now, the camera on the Note 7 Pro is a combination of a 48 megapixel camera, and that's the primary camera, and along with that 48, you have a 5 megapixel depth sensor for those amazing portrait shots. Now, this 48 MP camera has probably generated a lot more buzz than any of our features ever before. In fact, when I think about 4 weeks back is when we first talked about the fact that 48 MP is coming, we have got thousands and thousands of questions, comments from a lot of our Mi fans as well, asking various aspects or various details. A lot of them wanted to know multiple aspects. So we've just taken some of those and put them here. So for example, Ashu wanted to know if this 48 megapixel was actually a real camera or is just software based. Or one of our very close fans who take a lot of inspiration from us, Madhav, wanted to compare it with a 13 megapixel sensor from the previous generation. So we will do that as well. And then Arijit wanted to know if the processor can actually support anything more than 24 megapixel. Well, we've answered the last question. So we know that the new ISP can handle 48 megapixel. But let's look at the other two. So, on the Redmi Note 7 Pro, the camera that you get is a 48 megapixel camera, and the sensor that you get is the okay. So we've decided to use the highest resolution sensor available on any smartphone, period. It is an absolutely amazing sensor. It changes mobile photography forever. And of course, it is there on your Redmi Note 7 Pro. But before we deep dive, I want to show a couple of images. Let's play a little quiz. Can you guys guess what this is? Anyone from the top? I heard Game of Thrones wall. Okay, yes. It's really hard to do this with me fans around. They know everything. Okay, yes. So this was a zoomed in shot of an air purifier. Or, let's take a look at this one. What is this? Sweater. Pillow. This is the me neck pillow. Okay, let's get into a couple of sample images. Now this is a shot of the Taj, right? And I'm going to switch to Hindi for a bit here, because this is a proper 48 megapixel shot. So when we were taking the shot, हम दूर से देख रहे थे, तो दूर से देखा तो ताजमहल दिख रहा था. दूर से देखा तो ताजमहल दिख रहा था, पास जाके देखा तो कोई हमारी ही खींच रहा था. Let's do one more. दूर से देखा तो एक फतेहपुर सीकरी का किला दिख रहा था, राइट? हाँ, थैंक यू. पास जाके देखा तो कोई रिश्वत ले रहा था. Okay, moving back. What you get with the 48 megapixel sensor or camera on the Note 7 Pro is incredible detailing. This, of course, is the Taj Palace Hotel in Mumbai. And what you can see is a daylight shot with all the details captured properly. Unfortunately, the screen itself isn't big enough to handle that resolution, but we are trying to get there. Now, in a shot like this, with the 48 megapixel camera, you can zoom in even further and without losing any detail. You can see all the details captured. In fact, you can even look at that pigeon and count the feathers that they've got on the edges. It's an incredible camera. And let's go to the next section, where let's talk a bit more about how this camera works. So, we did talk about the fact that it's a 48 megapixel primary sensor clubbed with a 5 megapixel depth sensor. Diving a little deeper and looking at just the IMX586. Now this is the highest resolution sensor ever put in a smartphone. It is a half-inch stacked CMOS sensor. It is massive. Not just that, it also provides 4 times the dynamic range. So your photographs actually come out a lot better, even if it was, say, in a similar situation. And all of this is happening because this all-new sensor uses improved photoelectric conversion efficiency. What it means is it's able to handle that light better in that size. Talking about the sensor size, where does a half-inch sensor stand? So we compared it with some of the products that are out there. It is the largest sensor, or one of the largest sensors ever put on a smartphone. In fact, it is almost 27% larger than even the iPhone XS Max. I think we should price it somewhere there as well. Uh, of course, now we are talking about some flagships there, but we also looked at other mid-rangers. I don't think it's fair to compare. It's almost a 40% gap, but let's wait for the photographs there, and we'll get into that. Now, this is possible with almost 48 million individual pixels that are sitting in this half-inch sensor. It's a massive sensor with 48 million pixels. And in front of those, we have also got a 6-piece lens system and a wider than ever aperture of f1.79. It's the widest aperture we've ever put on a Redmi Note device. This gives you incredible detailed photographs like the ones you saw. In fact, with this kind of a sensor size and getting 48 megapixel, you can print photographs almost 9 feet by 7 feet in size. It's that kind of a detailing. In fact, I don't know if we have a print. You could probably show a print of what this would look like, maybe a bit. Okay. आगे जाके. So this is the image that you saw that was clicked by the Note 7 Pro. And this is not even 9 feet by 7 feet. We can go a little bigger. We could have gone a little bigger as well. So this is the capability of the incredible 48 megapixel camera on the Note 7 Pro. But that's on its own. How does it compare with other phones? Let's take a look. Now this is the Note 7 Pro versus iPhone XS and a OnePlus 6T, the other flagships. And what you can see is a superior dynamic range and a lot more detail coming in the Note 7 Pro. In fact, if you go a little closer, you'll start seeing even more differences. If you look at this particular image, right, the writing on the wall is a lot more clearer in more ways than one. Even the parts that are not well lit, the Note 7 Pro is able to handle this light a lot better than even the flagships that are out there. But it is a 48 megapixel, so we can go even closer. And if you look at that, this is a whole new level. When you've gone that close, if you look at the flag, the details on the Note 7 Pro are preserved, while both the XS and the 6T lose that detail out. Yeah? Let's take a look at one more. Now this is the OnePlus 6T versus the Note 7 Pro. And again, this is the photograph of Taj. I will not do Shero Shairi now, so you guys are spared. What I want you to do is look at this little board here. Right? We talked about the fact that you've got incredible detailing on the Note 7 Pro. But not just that, you can clearly read. You can clearly read the smallest font that is there. Kripya pani mein pav na dalein. But what's also interesting is, I said this sensor gives you a greater dynamic range. So if you look at the window at the back, not only is the Note 7 Pro able to capture the grille properly, but what almost every other phone would have missed out is there's a smaller grille behind this grille which has also been captured. It's incredible amount of detailing that's coming in to the Note 7 Pro's camera. No, those are flagships. And again, the reason we were comparing it with these flagships is the fact that we used a sensor that is built for the latest flagships. And I know some of you guys would want to know how it compares with other devices in the mid-range as well. So we thought we'll do that. It's not really fair, but we'll still do that. Now, if you can look at this one, right? The Note 7 Pro is far ahead in terms of dynamic range, in terms of the details, and we'll get to the details in a bit, and the overall color reproduction. But this is a 48, so we go closer. And here's where you start seeing the impact of that dynamic range coming in. The grille is absolutely clear here. while both of these other two devices start struggling. You want to see them struggle a bit more? Go on. Yes. Let's dive a bit more. Let's go even closer. And you can clearly see all the details on the Note 7 Pro, while this is just a smudged photograph. So the Note 7 Pro is an incredible camera. Now I wanted to talk a bit more about the Note 7 Pro's camera settings. Now what you get is a 48 megapixel shot. Now each image, because it has so much information, easily will be about 15 to 20 MB in size. Now this is big because when you start taking 48 megapixel cameras photographs, in a GB, you'll only be able to fit 50 to 60 photographs. And this means that for most of our users, can run out of space really quickly. To improve this, or basically make it easier for not you guys, and of course me fans will know all the settings, but for other layman person who comes in and buys the Note 7 Pro, we have put the 48 megapixel camera in the Pro mode. So by default, the photographs that you get are 12 megapixel, and these are normally about 4 to 5 MB, so you do not run out of space very quickly. But for all of me fans, you want a 48, you want a true 48, you go into the Pro settings, and there on top you enable 48 megapixel to see those incredible shots come to life. Yeah? Okay, let's move on to the next section. What do you do with a sensor this large? You excel at low light photography as well. And how this works is absolutely amazing. When the camera detects low light, it moves to combine 4 adjacent pixels into one superpixel. This superpixel is a 1.6 micron. And now you take this 1.6 micron and club it with this improved electric conversion efficiency. What you get is fantastic shots. Shots like this. Now this is a low light shot, and what most cameras would struggle to capture is, if you guys can read what's written on the typewriter, GW4682. It's absolutely clear with the Note 7 Pro. Now this is a phenomenal camera, and you see phenomenal results as well. For example, and this is another shot that we took, which was extremely low light conditions. And on the left side, you've got the iPhone XS, and on the right side, you've got the Note 7 Pro. The XS almost completely misses out the fact that there's a DJ booth in the middle. While on the Note 7 Pro, it's bright, it's clear, it's captured really well. Moving beyond flagships to other mid-range devices. Again, like I said, it's not really fair. But if you take the same image with a Realme 2 Pro or a Samsung M20, it's almost invisible. These guys really take their low light seriously. Sorry. Okay. So to sum it up, you get a 48 megapixel unbeatable detailing with the all-new Sony IMX586 sensor. You've got a large half-inch sensor that takes in so much more information. You've got a wider than ever before f1.79 aperture, a 6-piece lens, and of course, when it's low light conditions, a 1.6 micron superpixel. And you've seen those results. They're absolutely stunning, even when the lighting conditions aren't great. But being a Redmi Note, we've decided to push it to the next level. For the first time on the Redmi Note series, we are also introducing a steady handheld night photography mode. Now this is based on Xiaomi's powerful AI algorithm, and it does a remarkable job. So let me show you an example. Take a look at this night shot. It captures in so much detail. You can see the reflection of the lights captured perfectly. You can even see how the cement is, right? A great shot, agree? Well, we haven't even switched on the night mode. When you switch on the night mode, the party completely changes. See that again? Normal, much better than any of the other devices that you get in this price class. But with the night mode, it's a whole new level. Let's take a look at another shot. Without night mode, it's still a bright, clear shot. But when you take the same image with night mode, you can even see the writings up there. So how does the night mode compare? Versus the 10S, now the 10S does not have a night mode, so it's not really fair. But even versus the 60, it's able to get all these details and handle the light sources without really blowing out, without having any exposure challenges. In fact, let's take a look at another example. The Note 7 Pro night mode is capturing in a lot more detail than even the OnePlus 6T. So, the Note 7 Pro, unbeatable detailing day as well as night. And that's not all. We're still pushing ahead. On the camera, you also have AI scene detection as well as AI Portrait 2.0. Now, we've talked about this before, so I'll just quickly recap. With AI scene detection, the Redmi Note 7 Pro's camera is able to detect accurately 33 different scenes and change the overall saturation, improve the contrast, or all the tweaks that it needs to do to make it that perfect image for sharing. And in fact, we've got India-specific changes made to this as well. An example would be this. Now, when you're taking a picture like this with the Note 7 Pro, it automatically detects that this is an architecture, this is a building, and enhances it. It improves the overall edges, it enhances the contrast, it bumps up the colors, it just makes it a lot more shareable on social media. Again, without subtle differences and making it a much better looking image. Along with this, you've got AI Portrait 2.0. Now, this is something that we all loved. With AI Portrait 2.0, you have adjustable bokeh, you've got studio lighting, and light trails. With adjustable bokeh, we all love portraiture, but you get the control in your hands. You choose how much of that depth information you want to have on your image. And then you've got studio lighting, giving you these incredibly dramatic shots every single time. And you've got now 8 unique effects, including one that's being built only for India. It's a Holi effect. And you should get that pretty soon via an update. For the first time, we are also getting in a studio lighting live preview and the back camera. So you don't have to wait for the shot to be done and then you start editing. You will be able to see what the studio shot looks like live on the camera. And from an AI Portrait 2.0, we also have light trails. So you've got multiple options, and these are incredible photographs to share, especially on Instagram. In fact, if anyone, or I'm sure all of you follow Manu, you would have seen what he did during Valentine's Day. Okay, so that's still photography. We are bringing in one more change to the video part and the camera. With the Note 7 Pro, you get 4K recording at 30 frames per second. It's a powerful device with an incredible camera. You can push it to the limits. And like the previous notes, we still have EIS when you're taking those videos and you want to avoid that handshake that comes in. So that's the rear camera. On the front, we have a 13 megapixel camera. Now this enables AI portrait selfie. You've got scene detection up to 12 different scenes. When you're taking a selfie, it detects what's behind you and automatically enhances your image as well as the background, depending on what the background is. You've got a studio lighting selfie for the first time, and this should be fun. And of course, it supports AI face unlock as well. So let's take a look at one shot which I really loved. Now this one is from the front camera, and it's actually, as you can see, it's a portrait shot. The backgrounds are blurred beautifully. The subject is in complete focus, but the edge detection is on point. If you look at her hair, right behind the hair, everything is blurred out. It's a stunning looking shot. Right? But what's really interesting and what most phones will struggle to do is when you've got two subjects in the same frame. Most phones will struggle to take that portrait shot accurately. Either you'll see blurs happening on one or the other, or, and I'm pretty sure almost 95% of the phones will not be able to do this. If you look at that little gap between these two, that is incredibly hard to find. And because of our enhanced AI semantic segmentation, we are able to detect where the subject is, where the background is, and apply that beautiful blur every single time. With the 13 megapixel front camera, you also have AI face unlock for those who prefer just to look at the phone to unlock. We will be getting studio lighting selfie, and this will come via an OTA. So to sum it up, the Note 7 Pro, 48 megapixel camera beast, unbeatable detailing day, and as you saw, night as well. It's got a Sony IMX586 sensor, the largest, highest resolution sensor ever put on a smartphone. And we've taken it to the next level with a wider f1.79 aperture. It also supports 4K recording and an all-new night mode. Of course, from a portraiture perspective, you've got a 5 megapixel depth sensor, and you can get some amazing portrait shots with the AI scene detection and Portrait 2.0. In the front, you've got a 13 megapixel AI front camera, which does AI face beautify, scene detection, face unlock, as well as a studio lighting selfie that's coming pretty soon. Now, Note 7 Pro, a lot has changed. From the Note 6 Pro, we have, of course, changed the camera. It moves to a 48 megapixel camera with the 5 megapixel depth sensor. The super pixel is a 1.6 micron super pixel now, giving you amazing low light photography. Even the aperture is bigger, so it lets in a lot more light, getting you a lot more details. We've used an all-new Snapdragon 675, pushing the overall smartphone performance to the next level. We saw it is 17% faster than even the Snapdragon 710. We've got an all-new immersive design. We've got a 19.5 to a 9 dot notch display. We've got Corning Gorilla Glass 5, both in the front and the back. And this glass is curved beautifully that fits into the frame. We've got Quick Charge 4 supported. We've got an all-new Type-C, first for a Redmi Note. We've got 4K UHD recording. We've got EIS, and of course, a noteworthy 4000 mAh battery and dual SIM, dual VoLTE. It's not dual SIM, dual standby. It supports DSDV. So, a 48 megapixel camera beast in all its glory. Again, to recap, 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 sensor. Absolutely incredible. You saw the results. It is a flagship sensor that we are putting in the Note 7 Pro. It's got a Qualcomm Snapdragon 675, giving you flagship level gaming experience. It's got dual Corning Gorilla Glass 5 and an all-new gradient design, which looks absolutely stunning. It's got a 13 megapixel AI front camera, an all-new immersive dot notch display, which is 6.3 inch Full HD Plus, and a noteworthy 4000 mAh battery with Quick Charge 4 supported. So let's take an overall look at the product through a product video. I'm sure you guys are going to love this phone. Absolutely sure. Okay, so that's the Note 7 Pro. Moving on, the second surprise. Now this one is something that you were anyways expecting. The Redmi Note 7. Now with the Redmi Note 7, we have performance redesign. And we'll get into each of these, but again, we are redefining what you get in its particular class. Let's get into performance. The Note 7 is powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 660 AIE. No 625 because we lost them. It is a 2.2 gigahertz octa-core processor, and it absolutely changes everything else in its price class. It's based on a Cryo 260 architecture, and it's got 4 performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. So essentially, your gaming as well as your day-to-day tasks are easily handled. Now, why am I saying that this is a game changer or the best in its class? We have, over the past couple of weeks, or recent past, we have seen a couple of devices that launched with the so-called Snapdragon 660 processor. In fact, we found about 4 of them. And these range from about 15,000 all the way to about 25,000. And all of them claim that they're running a Qualcomm Snapdragon 660. So we decided to test how the Note 7 performs versus all of them. The Note 7 is on an average 10% faster than any of these devices. And you guys know why? Any guesses? It's because none of them were actually giving you a proper 660. All of them called out 660. They wrote about 660 in their product data sheets. They had the media briefs given out saying it's a 660, but in fact, it was a 660 Lite. And you get 10% lesser performance with that. In fact, Mi fans, if you know anyone who bought any of these devices, you should go and ask them to ask the brand to get their money back, at least 10% discount. So with the Note 7, you get a proper high-performance Snapdragon 660. So these are obviously 660 Lite. We also decided to compare the Note 7 with some of the other recently launched devices. So you saw the Honor 10 Lite running a Kirin 710, and there's a couple of Samsung devices that use the same processor, the Exynos 7904. So both these have different price points, but the same processor. So we decided to compare with these as well. Of course, you know what the result is going to be, right? It's a Redmi Note. There's a massive difference. In fact, not only does it outperform the Kirin 710 by a margin of about 10%, but there's an almost 30% gap when you compare this with the Exynos 7904. I don't think it's really fair to compare these two. Now, it is a Note, and we're talking about performance. Of course, you expect a 4000 mAh 2-day battery. And like the Note 7 Pro, the Redmi Note 7 also gets support for Quick Charge 4. Moving on to the next section, the Redmi Note 7 camera. Now, we gave a few of our Mi fans the Redmi Note 7 to go and test, and they came back with some incredible snaps. Photographs like this. Now, this is a portrait shot, and it's absolutely stunning. You can, of course, see Xiaomi's semantic segmentation working perfectly, but even the detailing that you see on the subject is absolutely on point. In fact, let's go a little further out and a little more complex as a situation. take a look at this shot. Now the colors, the detailing, the vibrancy, all of that has been preserved really well. And this one is my personal favorite. This is from Jaipur, and this was during a very cloudy day, so it's a harder shot to get. But the Note 7 does that perfectly. So on the Redmi Note 7, what we have is dual camera setup, a 12 megapixel primary clubbed with a 2 megapixel depth sensor. And this 12 megapixel primary sensor is a 1.25 micron sensor. So about 25% larger overall pixel area compared to a traditional 1.12. And hence gathering in a lot more light to give you those results that you just saw. Like the Note 7 Pro, the Note 7 also will get a steady handheld night photography mode. And this, of course, you can see it dramatically changes and improves the overall low light performance. The Note 7 also has a 13 megapixel front camera, and it gives you those amazing pictures. You get an AI portrait selfie, you got AI beautify, you have AI scene detection, and of course it supports face unlock. If you look at this particular example, like the Note 7 Pro, you can clearly figure out how well this has worked. In fact, the gap between the two subjects is even bigger, and you can clearly see that the background has been blurred out while the subjects are completely in focus, all the details have been preserved, and the edge detection is absolutely flawless. Moving on to the design, the Note 7 also follows the Aura design philosophy. You've got an immersive experience, incredible focus on the detail, yet retaining all the functional aspects of the device. The Note 7 has a 6.3-inch dot-notch display. It is again a 19.5:9 display. It's a full high definition plus display, and it still features the super expensive LTPS in-cell screen technology. And because of all of this, we're able to get smaller bezels. And like the Note 7 Pro, the Note 7 also features Corning Gorilla Glass 5 both at the front and the back. No compromises here. It comes in 3 amazing colors. We have the Onyx Black, and this looks incredibly classy. We've got the Ruby Red and the Sapphire Blue. I just love how the light kind of reflects off the back. It's absolutely amazing. Let's look at all the 3 colors together. The Onyx Black, the Sapphire Blue, and the Ruby Red. So, Redmi Note 7, performance redesign. It's built for people, our fans, who want that performance coming in this price class. It is not an underclocked version. It is not a light version. It gives you the proper performance of a Snapdragon 660. Of course, you've got the immersive dot-notch display. It is a 6.3-inch full high definition plus display, and it still has Gorilla Glass 5 both at the front and the back. You have this incredible reflective design and these 3 colors. You have a 13 megapixel AI front camera. You have a 12 megapixel camera at the back, which is a larger 1.25 micron size. And of course, a 4000 mAh noteworthy battery with Quick Charge 4 supported, as well as a Type-C, a 3.5 mm jack, IR remote, and P2I nano coating. Now, both these devices, we've pushed our core philosophy even further. When we build any product for India, we keep in mind providing the highest quality that we can. And the Note 7 and the Note 7 Pro are no exceptions. In fact, to talk about quality, I'd like to call Manu back on stage to take you through some of the initiatives that we've done.
Thank you, man. Okay, so this is probably one of my favorite topics, quality. And there are 3 big pillars of Xiaomi: best specs, honest price, and highest quality. And quality has been a huge focus area at Xiaomi globally as well as in India. Our CEO Chairman Lejun says that innovation determines how high we soar and quality determines how far we go. We believe if we cannot build really great quality products, we cannot succeed from a long-term perspective. If we have to sustain this growth, if we have to continue to remain the #1 brand, we have to build the best quality products for all our Mi fans here in the country. For this, we have built a new quality department in Xiaomi India, and it has been focusing on a lot of small improvements for all of you guys. There are three specific things that I would like to talk about today, which are applicable for both Redmi Note 7 and Redmi Note 7 Pro. The first, improvement in durability. Second, we have made these phones splash-proof. And third, we have tried to improve user experience. So let's talk about each one of them. Durability. Now, this is a study done by Corning, which says, on an average, a user drops a phone from a height of 1 meter 7 times a year. 7 times a year. And we wanted to ensure that even if you drop the phone 7 times, 10 times, even more number of times, it should be able to withstand it, both on the front as well as on the back. So of course, we have Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on both front and back. And not just this, we have increased the thickness of the glass. On an average, a glass is just about 0.7 mm thick. And we have added one extra layer and we have made it 0.8 mm thick, just so that you get a very durable device. We've also introduced a new technology called as glass edge polishing. And what it does is, there could be a lot of really small cracks, such small cracks that you cannot even see them from your naked eyes. And this technology really ensures that we do not get these kind of cracks even if you drop your phone. Plus, we have reinforced all the 4 corners. So if you drop the phone, nothing will happen to your phone, hopefully. And to show this, we have some really cool videos. The first one from Sumit, who is showing us how to create a really good salad. Let's watch this video. Okay, that was a really cool salad. Okay, how about this? We tried with something very unique. I tried multiple things yesterday. The hardest object that I could find in this hall was a walnut. And so we decided to take it to a very different level. And this is a video that we just shot, so that we were not prepared for this. We just shot it in the zone next to the stage. And as you can see, the audios are bad. It's not the nicest or the nicely shot video, but still it will demonstrate how Redmi Note 7 and Note 7 Pro is even stronger than a walnut. Watch this one.
Today, let's try and break a walnut, shall we?
Most durable device which is there in India right now. Really, really incredible device. So let's talk about the second improvement that we have done, which is making it splash-proof. Now, when we were launching Redmi Note 5 Pro last year, a lot of you guys asked us, can we make these phones waterproof? So we haven't made them waterproof, but we have made them splash-proof. What really it means? It means we have watertight seals across all buttons and ports, And if you really open the device, you can see these seals from your naked eye. Not just this, we've also introduced the splash-proof P2I hydrophobic nano coating, so that if you accidentally drop water on any of these phones, it will really sustain, like something that I'm trying to do over here. Now let me clarify, these are not waterproof phones, which means if you drop the phone in a bucket of water or in the middle of an ocean, it will not sustain. But if you drop a little bit of water on these phones, or if there's a rainfall or sweat, it will easily hold. Third big improvement that we're doing on quality is improvement of user experience, especially the audio quality. Now we are using the Texas Instrument Smart PA, PAS2563, and it is the power amplifier which really helps us improve the audio quality. It helps us create a sound cavity within the phone, because of which, when you're listening to music on a loudspeaker, you get almost 2.5x extra volume. A lot of you guys would like to listen to music on loudspeaker, and I think you will really love it. And despite all these quality improvements, if you still face any issues, don't worry. We have 1,000+ service centers across the country, and you know we have one of the best-in-class service networks in the country. Now, all these phones that we are selling in India are being made in India. I'll skip this one. So these are being manufactured here in the country. And our India COO, Murli is with us here in the room. Murli was there at a Foxconn factory a few days ago. And Murli has committed, so I can say on his behalf to all of you guys, we will try and ensure we produce as many phones as possible. So to all of you guys who want to buy Redmi Note 7 and 7 Pro should be able to buy it. Okay? Now, before we go to price, I know all of you guys are waiting for the price announcement. I really want to talk about one thing that Anush talked about, which is we never cheat with our fans. If we say it is a 660, then it means it's a real 660, not an underclocked version of 660 that we will try and sell it to you at a higher price. Or we will never ever temper with any kind of scores. And this is something which really troubles us, and we are not okay with it. We have heard a lot of news reports. I do not know whether they're true or not, but these are different news articles which keep coming up, where multiple brands try and cheat customers and fans on Antutu scores and on benchmarking scores. And whenever I raise this issue, people say, "Chalta hai. बहुत time से होता आ रहा है. क्या फर्क पड़ता है?" But हमें फर्क पड़ता है. Or just because it has been happening for a long time doesn't mean it should happen even in future. So we don't cheat on benchmark scores. Now this is a report done by T2, where if you look at many other brands, the score that they claim versus the actual score, there's a significant difference. But the same platform, when it ran scores on Redmi Note 5 Pro and Poco, there was no difference. So we do not cheat. We do not pay anybody to write a paid article for us, and we do not do any of these things, which is any kind of cheating for our consumers, for our Mi fans. Now with this, I would like to move to the last section of this first section, or the last part, which is now, Redmi Note 7 Pro is probably the most awesome device in India right now. It is a flawless device. Every single thing that you guys asked for, we have tried to incorporate this in Redmi Note 7 Pro. A 48 megapixel Sony IMX586 sensor, Snapdragon 675, which is even more powerful than 710. It has a glass back, not a glass-looking plastic, but a glass back with Gorilla Glass 5, 4000 mAh battery. Overall, a great phone. And we are comparing this device. Of course, we believe there's no right comparison. But we just picked up 2 or 3 devices which we thought were somewhat comparable. You have Honor View 20, which is the only other phone with a 48 megapixel Sony IMX586. Then you have Vivo V15 Pro, which is the only other phone with Snapdragon 675. It also has a 48 MP camera, but not a Sony IMX586 sensor. And of course, we have Samsung M30, which just got launched yesterday. Now, the last one, I believe, is no comparison at all. Because, as Anuj mentioned, the processor 7904 really cannot be compared to any of the processors that we are using. It is a plastic bag, it is running on Android Oreo, and many other things. So what do you think should be the price of Redmi Note 7 Pro? Sorry? Okay, let me first clarify which memory configuration. So we have two memory configurations. The first one is 4GB, 64GB. I heard a 19999, sorry. I heard a 9999. No, we can't do 9999. Okay. So the price for Redmi Note 7 Pro The price for Redmi Note 7 Pro 4GB, 64GB variant is going to be $13,999. And the price for 6GB, 128GB is going to be $16,999. Really incredible specs, incredible price, and there is no comparison to other phones with similar kind of specs or even phones which do not have these kind of specs. Snapdragon 675, Sony IMX 586 sensor, 48 megapixel, Type-C charging, glass back, everything that you have asked for at only $13,999 and $16,999. So this is Redmi Note 7 Pro for all of you guys, all the key specs and the two price points. And then we have Redmi Note 7, the real Snapdragon 660, not the underclocked version. Great, great device. So this is the price comparison of Redmi Note 7 versus few other devices. Okay, guys. Okay, 3 plus 32. So yes, it's going to be launched at 9,999, and the 4GB, 64GB is going to be launched at 11,999. So these are the prices for Redmi Note 7, and as you can see, it's a league apart as compared to Realme 2 Pro, Oppo K1, Honor 10 Lite, Samsung M20. Each of these devices, much better specs at a much more honest price. So that's Redmi Note 7 for you guys. A really great device. Now, every single Mi fan or user who will buy a Redmi Note 7 or Redmi Note 7 Pro will get a special offer from a partner Airtel, where you will get up to 1120 GB of data, 1120 GB of data free, and unlimited calling. You also get an Airtel Thanks benefit, which means you can stream the Airtel IPTV. Now, when and where can you buy Redmi Note 7 and 7 Pro? So the first sale of Redmi Note 7 is going to be next week on 6th of March at 12 noon on Mi.com, Flipkart, and Mi Home stores. And it will also be available soon across all our Mi preferred partners. That's Redmi Note 7. Redmi Note 7 Pro will come 1 week after that, starting 13th of March at 12 noon. We are trying to produce as much as we can. So Redmi Note 7 Pro, the first sale is going to be at 12 noon on 13th of March across, again, Mi.com, Flipkart, and Mi Home stores. And again, it will come to all our Mi preferred partner stores. Now, when you buy a Redmi Note 7 or 7 Pro, you'll get a free protective case inside the box. And for the first time, thank you. For the first time, we are introducing a perforated case that you can buy from any of our stores or Mi.com only at rupees 349. So that's Redmi Note 7 series. We launched two phones Redmi Note 7 Pro. But we said there are multiple surprises. So what are the other surprises that we have? No. Okay, so this is a new category.